So let's start off with Now You See Me, Now You Don't. So this is the third installment in the Now You See Me series, and I don't know why we have this, to be honest. Let's just establish that from the get-go. The first was directed by Louis Leterrier, who I really like, as he did a couple of the Transporter movies with Jason Statham, so he's a good action director. The second one of these was directed by John M. Chu, who made Wicked last year, and we'll be talking about Wicked for good next week, which he's returning to direct. And now we have Ruben Fleischer directing, who did Venom, Uncharted, and Zombieland. So yeah, he takes over here. So the first two Now You See Me films followed a group of famous magicians known as the Horsemen. You have Jesse Eisenberg, Woody Harrelson, Isla Fisher, and Dave Franco. They pull off bank heists during their performances and then reward the audiences with the money. Here, the Horsemen have now split up and they've gone their separate ways. We follow a new and younger magic trio in the form of Justice Smith, Dominic Sessa, and Ariana Greenblatt. Jesse Eisenberg wants to recruit them to help them take down Rosamund Pike, who's part of an evil kind of family dynasty called the Vanderbergs. They mine diamonds and minerals and basically damage South Africa in the process. But along the way, the old horsemen appear from nowhere and help Jesse Eisenberg to accomplish his task. Take a listen.
Of the four horsemen of magic. Now watch closely as I make the famous heart diamond appear on my palm. Veronica, now as your ads like to remind us, diamonds are forever.
So unfortunately, Now You See Me, Now You Don't is just flogging a dead horse for all it's worth, and one or two were enjoyable enough and had their moments, but to say that the gimmick is now worn off is to be kind to it, and no one cares or remembers the first two, sadly. And to make matters worse, this one is totally overcrowded with even more people added, so it's far too desperate and it's far too reaching too much out there in terms of what it's trying to do. But I try to go into this as open-minded as possible, even though you might not believe me when I say that. But there are a few factors that played into why that was difficult. The primary one being that the first two were not that bad and had some entertaining moments in them, but I hadn't seen either in a long, long time, and I remember virtually nothing about them. But I do remember a set piece that the second film had, in which the Horsemen basically try and smuggle a computer chip out of a vault by using like this playing card, and they kind of throw it around each other and they try and hide it and stuff, which I think is the only thing people remember about that film. But hey, it had its moments, but other than that, there's not much really going on there. Now, you're going to have to point me towards the people that wanted another one of these or were kind of asking for one, because I certainly don't know anyone who did, really, in terms of, or like if people are wanting another one or kind of wanting to see this kind of thing. So
I didn't want one, so
exactly. So what we have here basically is another addition to two films that were perfectly serviceable but absolutely nothing more, right? There are many issues with this one. The biggest and most obvious one to me is that the film itself knows it shouldn't exist, and any film that hasn't been on our screen for many years all fall under the same trap, and they all repeat the exact same thing, right? With pure exposition and directly addressing how long it's been and sort of jumping straight down our throats from the get-go. It's like, you know, it's exposition after exposition, and that's not really what you want. 10 minutes into this, I already knew what I wish it would avoid, and as soon as it started happening, I knew it was in trouble. Like, it's exposition after exposition, and it's like, we've been gone for 10 years, now we're back. Have you guys missed us? I'm going, no, not really. I think we're kind of used to the fact that you've not been really with us. But the next problem, I would say, is that this has far too many characters in it, and that's an understatement, really. And again, an issue I knew the film would have, because you've got so many people at the forefront of the film, so many characters battling for screen time. And you know, plenty of films in the past have multiple characters at once. I mean, Avengers, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter. This couldn't be further from that, an example of how to get it wrong. You know, usually some films can balance loads of characters at once really, really well, but this got it so wrong. There are moments in which the film tries to squeeze them in a single frame, and it feels so forced and uncomfortable, and you feel like you can't breathe, and it's just like, this is being so forced upon us and sort of so rammed down our throats that I wish it would have more subtlety to it, basically. And then there's the issue with the fact that the film takes itself way too seriously for its own good. The first Now You See Me basically involved the Horsemen running away from the FBI and law enforcement, because they're vigilantes, right? They're kind of Robin Hood kind of characters. And the way that it works is that they would rob kind of banks and rich people and then give the audience the money. The first film made sense because it would make sense that they're being chased down by FBI and police, because that's what you would expect. The second film started to feel as if they were running out of ideas, as it had them turn into secret agent spies and steal from a wealthy billionaire in kind of this kind of big evil corporation. And that kind of was beginning like, right, well, we're beginning to running out of ideas now because this is not what the film's about. And to say this one has now jumped the shark really scrapes the barrel, and it really scrapes the bottom of the barrel in terms of trying to come up with something new. And it can't do that at all. And they genuinely want to introduce the idea that the magicians are now going to go after international terrorists, because one of them says, yeah, we're targeting these big evil guys. I'm just started thinking, whoa, hold your horses. We're expected to believe that these magicians can just take down big criminal organizations. It's like using the power of magic to kind of get away with it. And there's moments where Dave Franco's character is like he can throw cards really kind of hard at people. He's kind of good with card tricks, and he spent the 3 of these films basically kind of throwing cards at people like his weapon. And it's like, oh no, someone's been injured because a card has been thrown at their face. And it's like, what are we doing? Are we not kind of moved on from this? And he literally throws cards at security guys with guns, and they just fall over and kind of clutch their face at kind of what's going on. And it's just, you expect us to take this serious, and it just does not work. But what's worse is how they set up another film at the end. And I don't want to say who shows up, but I'm thinking to myself, this character hasn't shown up so far. I wonder if they're going to pop up at the end. And lo and behold, and he does show up in kind of like a hologram kind of message, right? And it looks like he absolutely cannot be bothered, and it looked like he shot the scene last minute, and he just looks like he can't be bothered delivering the lines. And Morgan Freeman is just half asleep most of the film. He just shows up in kind of one sequence, and he's like, "Give me the money, give me the check right now," and he can't be bothered with the whole franchise, and that's the least of its worries. But hey, I mean, I think the first 2 had their moments and they were entertaining, but it's been 9-10 years since the last one. Do we need another one? No is the answer. And the fact that they're setting up another one after this just shows it. And we didn't need to come back, and it shows it. The film is lazy in pretty much every regard, and it's overcrowded, overstuffed, and yeah, the gimmick's worn off, which is the main thing. But it's a 2-star film for me. But it's in cinemas everywhere now if you want to check out. That's Now You See Me, Now You Don't. But yeah, it's in cinemas everywhere for you guys now. So our next